Well, we're back at it with another brand new episode of the Beyond Position podcast. It feels like it's been a century, but we're back at it here again with another brand new episode. Of course, as always, with your dynamic trio, my boy Brett, my boy Brad, and myself, Eduardo. If anybody's new to the podcast or come across this nonchalantly, welcome. Jump on in. Yeah. The water's warm. And we were talking about conspiracies, hot topics, just a little bit about everything, right?
Pretty much everything, yeah.
But let's play catch up. I mean, it's been a hot minute. It's been a very hot minute. I just want to start off by saying, personally, I was dealing with, I don't know what it was. I think we want to start off with this conversation or this episode. We're talking about just a brutal flu or cold, whatever's going on. It's a respiratory virus that's going around. We're here from Washington State, the beautiful Evergreen State. But from what I've been told is that there's definitely something going around currently that's just, it's getting to a lot of people. I mean, so far from my end, my wife, my daughter's had it. I've had it. A couple of other close friends of mine have gone through it. And also Brett too as well, right? If you want to share that behalf too.
My wife, my daughter caught it. I somehow dodged that Matrix bullet like I was Neo.
The bullet's almost hitting you.
Well, like ODB said in one of his songs, he's like, I sniffed that cocaine.
Jesus Christ. He was on coke.
Yeah, he's like, I'm immune to all viruses.
Yeah. But does that really true though? Like I know if you're an alcoholic, you're prone to really get any type of infections or any type of, I don't know about sicknesses, but is that true with drugs as well? Like it makes you super prevents you from being sick?
I've seen a lot of, like, when it comes to nicotine,
mm-hmm.
and I've seen that they have shown studies where it breaks down the nanoparticles in the COVID vaccine. So if you were one of those unfortunate victims, by the way, did you see I posted on X?
Oh yeah, I saw that post.
They've confirmed that these COVID vaccines are giving people cancer at astronomical rate. So,
but Pfizer one, right? The Pfizer is a Moderna, both of them.
I think it's all of them.
All of them.
Yeah,
I got the Pfizer.
Oh god. So
2 rounds.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Here's some solace. You can find solace in the fact that for anybody who is a nicotine user, those nicotine patches, smokers, scientists have found that the nicotine actually breaks down those nanoparticles. And
interesting.
So you could actually be, dodging one cancer for another.
I wonder.
Mostly from I'd rather have lung.
Yeah, I'd rather die of lung cancer than whatever the blood clot shot cancer is.
God, man. It's like you never, and that was one thing too that I wouldn't have doubted if that somehow came about where, they run it through a commercial. You know how like in late nights they have those commercials about this drug, they make it seem all dandy. By the way, it could cause cancer. They go really fast, talk about it could cause cancer or any other type of illnesses on the side.
Oh yeah, it's like
what the
half
hell?
of the commercial in really fast, like auctioneer speed, talking. Yeah, it talks about all the side effects.
You will die.
Yeah, you're
gonna die.
Because right now the biggest one that I've seen that they're really promoting heavy, I don't know if you guys have seen it, is it's the weight loss one. There's
Ozempic,
but it's not Ozempic. It's a different one now. There's a different one out there that it's somehow you can track it on your app to see how many pounds you've lost within like a couple weeks. Like they're really trying to heavily promote it. And I'm like, damn, it's really come down to this point, right, where they made this magic drug where you can lose weight, but it's like, what comes with it?
Where you seeing the stuff that Ozempic is doing to people?
Well, I heard like this one story about this girl. She said that she was like losing her eyesight or something like that.
All kinds of stuff.
Like it's wild.
It's
like,
also
dude, what the hell's going on?
Degrading your bones, like osteoporosis. I think it's doing something like that. Yeah,
that's
so
crazy,
it's just like, it's really, you're skinny, but like you're also deteriorating.
You're losing your.
You know what comes to mind when I first started hearing about all this Ozempic stuff is, do you remember Hydroxycut?
Oh yeah, a long time ago.
It would just show these like chiseled like fitness. It was like a Bowflex commercial basically, but it was like you could look like this.
Yeah, lose weight.
I remember that name. But it was a weight loss drug then.
Yeah, it was a pill, and then they made it into like a liquid too, right?
Yeah, but it turned out being awful. It was like awful for you, and it's always, obviously, if there's a pill that. Okay, to be in good shape, you have to work hard, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to be disciplined. Some people have maybe a faster metabolism than others, but like realistically, like the symbol of someone being in really good shape is hard work.
Yeah.
Like you that's one thing
Eating
you
right,
can't cheat.
exercising,
Right?
Yeah.
Well, a big portion of it is
So-
definitely your eating, right? Your eating habits and
Water
sleeping,
intake,
water intake,
not putting
exercise. It's a different combination of
Everything
things, right?
JFK or RFK Jr. is trying to tell us now.
Yes. Make America healthy again, right?
Yep.
So definitely not a
And
big
I mean,
difference.
I'm not in amazing shape, and it's because I don't work hard. So I'm not rushing to find Ozempic.
Did you say Russian?
He's on alert. He's like, you get the, you pull it out. No, but it's
Reminds me
true.
of
It's true though. Like, it's crazy. We're at this state where it's a drug that it was made for diabetics.
Yeah.
Now it's all of a sudden now they're saying, well, you can lose weight with this and whatnot, and people are jumping on it. Like there's a lot of people that I've talked to personally that are on it, like just because of the fact that it makes you lose weight. But it's like, at what cost though? That's my thing.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that because now that I think of it, someone just approached me the other day about that Ozempic thing that you're just talking about. So apparently you have to like inject it yourself in your stomach.
Yeah. It's pretty much, it's like it's sort of like a certain cycles or whatever. I don't know too much about it, but
that's what he was saying.
It's cycles of it, and you're supposed to lose a bunch of weight. I mean, I've heard a lot of A-list celebrities use it just to lose weight for certain roles and whatnot. So it's pretty big, dude. I'm
telling you,
yeah,
dude.
it's crazy.
I wonder what Brendan Fraser did to get ready for Whale.
Oh, dude, he went opposite. He started eating.
I heard that was like horrific. By the way, like he because he was like 400 pounds.
Jesus, dude.
And
he actually gained all that weight.
He really did. Yeah.
Whoa.
He actually did.
Why didn't they just put Russell Crowe in that? Yeah. He's already doing it naturally. You know what I mean?
Is he really that big now?
He's a big boy. Not
dude.
as big as Brendan Fraser and Whale, but
it's definitely different from when he played in The Gladiator to now. It's like night and day difference.
Are you not entertained?
Yeah, dude. It's like
It's a great movie, by the way. Whale, have you seen it?
I've seen it.
Yeah.
Really?
I thought
What's it about?
like it?
I liked it.
Yeah, talk about it then.
So what's it about?
Lay down the premise.
I mean, I don't even remember the end of it. I just remember liking it. But it was about a guy who was extremely overweight and just essentially like him living his life, right? Like just being.
So what it is, I'll
go ahead.
explain.
Yeah,
So
because it'll probably trigger.
what happened is it's showing this guy who's morbidly obese. And when we're talking, can barely get out of he can't get out of his couch without assistance, right? But you start to see his daughter coming into the picture. Mm-hmm. And then they start telling the story. Basically, he left his wife for a man, and then that man died. So his lover died, and then that depression, he just started eating his depression away, and then that's where he just became that. And so he lost his relationship with his wife and his daughter, and he's a school teacher, so he could only teach from home, so he could do online teaching. But it's going into that story.
Interesting. Okay. I heard he got a high praise for that too. Like he
did really good.
They said that he killed killed that role. But I mean, overall, like Brandon Fraser is one of those dudes where too, like you didn't really hear of him much after like the Mummy movies. I remember back in the days when those came out. Phenomenal actor. He was also George of the Jungle. I remember that comedy movie.
Yeah,
so I mean,
it's complete opposite roles, Whale and George of the Jungle.
And then he just completely changed. He was totally ripped in that George of the Jungle movie too.
I mean, it's just like what we're talking about with Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
Super night and day difference. But
his Road Rage or Hinged or Unhinged or something. What was that movie?
Which one?
Russell Crowe was in lately, where he was. I think it was like Unhinged.
I don't remember.
He's in this Road Rage flick where gets in this huge fight. Road rage with this chick, and he ends up like killing people throughout the movie. Just an angry fat man,
just because someone cut him.
Yeah, it was gnarly.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of movies, man. I swear that people bring up and they sound interesting that I've just haven't heard of, and you go back like, damn, that was a solid movie, you know. Yeah. Same thing with shows. I'm actually watching a show too that I heard that was really good when it was out. I don't know if you guys heard of the show called Snowfall.
No.
It's about a gentleman that it had to do with the conspiracy where they were selling cocaine to fund the Contras during the war, the Bay of Pigs and all that.
Okay.
So they added those elements. So they're telling like 3 or 4 stories within one main storyline. So they talk about the Contras. They talk about this kid who grew up in California, and he was selling weed at first, and then he got introduced to cocaine, and that's when he started morphing it into crack, and that's how the crack epidemic started. He started selling it in different areas, and it's a very interesting show. And I'm like, oh, dang, because I saw little clips of it, and I'm like, dang, dude, it was 6 seasons, and it was like a total of like maybe 9 or 10 episodes per season, but it got high appraisal. It was produced and directed by John Singleton, the guy that did Boys in the Hood, the movie.
Interesting.
So it was one of those shows where like, dang, they had like a lot of different producers and directors, and they made a really good show, and it got high praise. Like, it was really good, and it was on Fox. So I'm watching that currently. It's one of those ones where like, damn, this is actually a pretty good show.
I can't wait till they start doing like documentaries on this fentanyl, on how this fentanyl.
Oh, dude,
and not just that, but also the guns. You know, the fact that the cartel is getting all these American guns.
Talk about that. That's interesting. So okay, let me start off, and correct me if I'm wrong. You're my walking Google, so I know you have the facts. So they just found out that a lot of the weapons that were bought or sold to Ukraine, they had them in their possession. Somehow, some way, they have sold those weapons to the cartels, right?
I don't know this one.
So this one was like, what the hell's? It's almost like that. Is it? Correct me if I'm wrong. Operation Fast and the Furious.
Yes,
it's something kind of like that, where they're finding some of the weapons that the cartels have in hand came from Ukraine.
Just for the people that don't know, Operation Fast and Furious, what is it?
It's pretty much they wanted to have these guns sold to, was it Mexico? They were traced through the serial numbers, thinking like they can be able to trace them, but lo and behold, they weren't able to do that.
No,
and they were pretty much supplied like all these illegal organizations with all these mass weapons.
The U.S. government sold the cartel all these guns, and they lost tracking of it. Where it got famous is because one of our border security officers was killed with one of those Fast and Furious guns, and then that's when everything came.
So undone. This is kind of like this, but somehow Ukraine was. So the rumor is that they're the ones that sold a lot of weapons that we have supplied them with, or whatever we supplied them with, they sold it to the cartel.
I halfway believe that.
That's
because
crazy.
Zelensky was on the media talking recently about how the Biden administration had promised him all these, like, what, $150 billion, and he has only received half.
That's insane.
So, I mean, maybe he's just playing coy.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because he's selling the other half to the cartel.
I mean, dude,
trying to.
I mean, all this is, I mean, we're just finding out. And I guess, we like to go in politics and stuff in regards to where it affects us personally, but it's almost just so funny where, like, a lot of this stuff that they were taxing us on was getting used for the most bogus things that you could ever possibly imagine. And one of the things that I read off the list.
AID right now?
Yeah. Okay. So the one thing, just an example of, like, there's a lot of corruption going on behind closed doors where, like, it makes you like think like, what is all this money being used for, and why is it like we always have to pay at the end of the year where for stuff that we would think would benefit us as people, for the government that works for us, right? Citizens that we pay our taxes on time, and we get taxes taken out of our paychecks when we do our usual 9 to 5. But they were using like a lot of this money for like a Sesame Street production over in Afghanistan, and they were using a lot of like they were using some of the funds for like was it sex changes down in Guatemala. Like stuff that is just, it doesn't make any sense. Like I thought this was supposed to benefit us here in this area where we live, like in Washington State, right?
It's crazy. And I just feel like it's a CIA tactic to destabilize the world. This is how, so like when Obama was president from 2008 to 2012, he went 2 terms, but from 2008 to 2012 is when they were doing all those regime changes in the Middle East. CIA was fully a part of that. So I think that this USAID is a new tactic that the CIA is using to funnel in all of these monies, basically to obfuscate where all this money is going. But the reality is they're just trying to destabilize the regions, all these different regions.
Okay, so kind of like
we can maintain control.
So kind of like poison them within through certain things, right?
To pit everybody against each other so that when you come in, you have a strong, formidable force, and they are all too scattered and fighting with themselves.
chess, not checkers, right?
Fight.
Hey, I'm just gonna say we're gonna have some great military movies in about 20 years.
Oh, bro.
All this craziness, right? And then just think about all the all the stuff that Trump is declassifying, and also all the movies.
We are
and
gonna go
stuff.
there.
We're gonna.
All the movies and stuff that are gonna get made about this is pretty wild, right?
Oh yeah, we are
crazy.
living in history.
Yeah.
We are living in history.
So this the JFK files that got uncovered. One thing that I did send you right off rip was because we've talked about this in our last episode. Go check it out if you haven't. We're available on all major stream platforms. But they're not only talking about one shooter in the JFK assassination. Now there's two.
Dos amigo.
Woo. And I remember you had said that before. I think this is like off the pod. We've talked about this. Just had conversations about it and how you said that. You think there was two shooters, not just one, right?
The reason why I say there's two shooters is because I was watching a documentary when they were doing an autopsy on the skull. They said, wow, these holes are different sizes. These are different calibers of bullets that went into his brain.
Double
So,
headshot.
I mean,
it's
the
brutal.
Warren Commission, that they hid so much stuff. The Secret Service went in and hid all this stuff. They hid everything, and they buried this stuff. There's stuff that to this day can never be found. But they just recently found 2,400 files. The FBI announced that they found 2,400 files on the JFK assassination. So we're gonna see a lot. And I don't know what we're going to see. I don't want to get ahead of it because, I have a ton of speculation. But what I can say, what I firmly believe is that Lee Harvey Oswald was definitely a patsy. There was more people involved. The government was involved. And I think my personal theory is that Lyndon B. Johnson was involved. The guy that took over the presidency, his vice president.
You think he's the one?
I think he had some mob involvement. There was a lot of stuff in Texas that was going on.
And they were saying too that the mob somehow was involved. That was one of the theories too.
That
right?
was, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yep.
And so, okay, if that, let's say that were to be the case, how would that play out? What would be the ripple effect? I guess you could say.
Every Lyndon B. Johnson statue or named building or everything is going to be taken down,
Destroyed
immediately.
Just like rubbed on the face
he
of
is
the
going to
earth.
be so disgraced. I mean, if this is true, right? I just said I don't want to get ahead of it, but maybe I am. But yeah, you would be absolutely disgraced. But also, you've got to know the people that are involved. You've got to know who, because think about it. Lyndon B. Johnson was the president, so he was basically orchestrating everything. He was in power. So if there were investigations going a certain way, he had his people in to divert and do all these things. Well, how many of those connected people, this little web that he had created, continued on through the future administrations and basically created the deep state that we see today?
So
Interesting.
wasn't Kennedy against unions?
Kennedy was against unions?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
was
Yeah,
so
because- yep.
so the mob was the union.
Yeah.
Jimmy Hoffa.
Right.
Yes.
So, and what I heard is Kennedy's dad used to work with the mob.
Yes.
So
You are dead
that's
right.
that's also very
Okay.
it's also very interesting, right?
And the deal-
So it's like his son went against them. Right?
Yes. And because before he
did not know that.
before he became president, they had a meeting with the mob, with his dad, saying that, okay, you're not going to go against us. He didn't. He went with he got his brother involved, who was an attorney, and they directly went after the mob with RICO charges and literally took down the mob.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
Dad had to see that go down.
Interesting. I did not know
Those
that.
were his
That's
friends.
the
I
first
mean,
time
I
I ever
think-
heard about
yeah.
that. That's crazy.
Yeah, well-
so this goes deeper than just the fact, like, from hindsight, you would just say like, oh,
Jimmy
they assassinated, JFK at that point, but there's deeper details going behind that where there's family matters tied with this as well.
You're going to have to see these are probably related to the other files that are about to be declassified as well. His brother was killed, RFK. He was killed, and also MLK was killed. And I think that these are all related to each other.
Insane,
same
dude.
people, essentially.
Really?
So, and this is just me asking questions because I like to put myself in the audience's seat. With with this being leaked out, why do you think it's such an importance now for it to be open to the public? Is it just for like just based off the fact that Trump wants to be transparent with the people and that the people know like, hey, the deep state, this is what they do. Just letting you know this does exist. Because before all this happened, right, we can say that there's people like us out there kind of like coming up with the conspiracies on why certain things happen. Is it one of those things where like maybe there's a lot of things too where there's a lot of questions rising now because there's a lot of stuff done in the shadows where we get the wind of it, but we never just hear the true story of what really happened.
It's because when they classify these files, top secret, all that, they give it a certain time. So I think with these ones, it was 50 years. They said it'll be 50 years. So they were supposed to be declassified during Trump's first administration.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
When he was number 45, and he saw the files and he says, I can't do it. I can't do it. He told his friend Roger Stone. Roger Stone was a guy who campaigned and got Richard Nixon into office. And so he was there through all of that. And he knows damn well that this JFK assassination was done dirty. And he's wrote a book about it as well. But so Roger Stone was asking Trump, are you going to release it? And he says, I can't. And you wouldn't either if you saw what I saw. And so, but this time around, now this is the number 45 presidency was the FA version. Now that we're getting the FAFO presidency. So now we're finding out. Now he has nothing to lose by releasing all these documents.
Yeah.
So he's getting it, and we're gonna. I think this is gonna be a very dark blot on our history, on our government, and I think that's why the government's petrified.
I think the last episode we've mentioned the fact if the people want it, because we go off on what the people want, they request certain topics we want to go deep diving on. I think the JFK one's a good one to go with if we want to do like a full episode, just fully focus on the events of when it came down to that unforgivable moment where
tell us through the algorithm.
Yeah. Tell us if that's something you want to see. That'll definitely let us know in the comments. Comment if that's something you want. We'll definitely bang that one out for you. But yes, very interesting, man. And also, of course, they also released a lot of documents in regards to the MLK assassination as well, where he was a wild boy, dude. He was wild.
Yeah, he was definitely in his prime.
Oh, dude. I mean,
say that.
He was living it in a certain way, dude. But yeah, that too. So, I mean, yeah, man, it's interesting where this is going. A lot of, what is it? Unraveling of a bunch of, two major events that took place in history where, now it's out for people to see and look for themselves on just what they think and what really happened, all right? But insane. But in regards to classified, unclassified, you picked up a book. You want to show the people the book and kind of just, something we want to dive deep down on in regards to the topics. American Cosmic, for the people if they can't see, by who's the author?
D.W. Pasulka, Diana Walsh Pasulka.
Okay, so this book came about. If I remember correctly, this was in regards to the episode with Sean Ryan, correct?
Yeah.
And the gentleman
there was Chris Bledsoe on episode 165. I believe she was on 166.
Okay.
She was the very next episode.
Okay. So give a little synopsis of what this book really entails about, and just kind of just a little brief overview. Nothing crazy, something off top.
She's an academic, and her role in all of this is religious studies.
Okay.
And not to say that she is religious herself, although she does claim that she is. But she kind of leaves that out. She is studying religion on what makes a person religious, what makes a group religious, what do they need? What are those things? Well, then she started noticing with some of her academic connections with UAPs and UFO studies and research, that she said, man, this is very similar. These people act very similar to people that practice other religions. And so basically she came down to the fact that, UFOs, that is a religion. If you believe in UFOs, that's basically the religion of our day, the new religion, where it's getting technology involved.
Interesting.
Stuff that's unknown, but stuff that people can verify. Like, for instance, what makes Christianity so relevant to a lot of believers is they will tell you Jesus Christ was real on earth. There were witnesses that saw him die on the cross, and then there were 500 witnesses that saw him come back from heaven. And so are people that are testifying it. They know that he died on the cross, and they know that his body was removed in 3 days. They know that his body was no longer in the tomb, because the Romans that went to the tomb, they would be, if they were caught lying, they would be held. They would be sentenced to death. And so there's no incentive whatsoever for a Roman soldier to lie about him getting his body moved. Mm-hmm. So that they use all that. But anyway, so then with the UFOs, we have all these different sightings that we have all over the world. All over the world. People are telling very similar stories, whether they call them experiencers in the book, people who have either seen UFOs or people that have seen entities like aliens or something like that, right? And so she talks about all that in this book, and how she worked with someone who she believes is top government agent, someone who works very high in the government, but could never prove it, because he would never give her his real name, or at least she wouldn't reveal his real name. Mm-hmm. And in the book, but he worked with a lot of different people in the government, and took her to a crash site in New Mexico that was not the Roswell crash site. This was a different one. And she took another academic friend of hers who was also a believer in UAPs and the phenomenon. And they found stuff on there that they call, what do they call it? Anomalous material. Like that we cannot see anything on Earth how this was created. So it's anomalous.
One of the ones that I've heard, you said anomalous materials, is the one where they describe it where it would be crumbled up like aluminum, and then it would straighten back out by itself.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude.
Yeah, and the way that she described it on a podcast was they were asking her about that material. Like, what did it look like? What did it feel like? And she said it was like metallic frog skin. So that's how she described it.
Interesting.
And they show this kind of stuff on X-Files too. They show, how that, just like what you're talking about, you can crinkle it up, but then it
goes back to its normal form. Yeah. Dude, I mean, as of late, dude, I've seen you. X is just like the place where I get a lot of my sources, man. It's a lot of interesting little small clips, little small articles that I come across. The most interesting one that I've heard of yet, because I mean, here on the podcast, we like to dive into the conspiratorial side of things. Where, all right, we're back for taking a little potty break. But as we were saying, though, the topic in regards to UAPs is a topic we'd like to revisit here on the podcast. It's definitely one of the ones that I would say is a trending topic, just because of everything that's being now fully unclassified in regards to a lot of former, if it's like naval fighter jet pilots, former army people, just people that are, have access to all this classified stuff, right?
Disclosure, baby.
A lot of stuff is coming out in full wind. So an interesting clip that I saw that floating around was these two guests on the Joe Rogan podcast. It's episode 2264, Linville Logan and Jason Stantz. And here's where this one gets crazy. This is a story. I think it's Linville Logan, the one that I was talking about it, but he talked about his own personal experience where they were out patrolling this area in Nevada. And they were just kind of like patrolling around, or they were in their truck with a couple of other buddies of his that were also on the force. I think they were, what it says right here, they were retired. He was a retired U.S. Air Force intelligence analyst, and he's actually a former UAP task force member. So he said, in this night, he noticed this gentleman walking along the side of the road, or like by the desert. And something was off about this gentleman that he just thought it was just another one of his, I guess, buddies that was coming, just walking around, whatever. But think about it. It's the middle of nowhere. It's in the desert. It's nighttime. And he said that during this night, it was super cold. And one thing he noticed that was off is this gentleman had like super blue skin. So he thought it was like hypothermia, like this dude was super cold. But he noticed he had garments kind of like his, like, the uniform and everything and all that. But one of his buddies whispered to him, like, yo, like look at his ears, or he looks really weird. And they drew this sketch out, and I'll see if I remember to put an image up here just to kind of give you a visual of the description that he gave after this incident took place. But the person that they were describing, I mean, from the picture that I looked on the web, he looked super blue. Like the ears were like, it just showed like there was no ears. The eyes were super oval. Did not look like your normal human being.
Wow.
So there was 3 other people with him. And this is where, to me, it gets more credibility to the story, because he tried to contact those 3 other guys. He only got a hold of one of them. The other 2 he could not get a hold of or whatever. Mm-hmm. But he said after the person that he got a hold of, just to kind of recount to see if like their stories lined up, just to get them like to talk about the incident, right? To bring him onto like a podcast, or just to see if he could, disclose that this happened or talk about this incident when this took place. He said right when he brought up that actual incident that night of, the guy just he didn't want to talk about it. And right after that phone call, he said he never heard from him again.
That's crazy.
Dude. But that's the stuff from just like, dude, like, why would these people make it up?
Right.
Why would these people just come out and make up a story talking about like, oh, I saw some blue looking individual that didn't look human, and that was that? Like, why would you want to make something up like that? Especially if it's going to discredit you, and especially if you're, an ex, what is it? He was an ex-Navy dude or whatever, like why would you want to make that up? That's my thing.
And that's the biggest fear, especially for people in the military, but people in academics as well.
Yeah.
Or in any professional position where the government, they know stuff, right? And there's these top secret projects and locations where have been studying this stuff for years.
Yeah.
They will use every piece of power they can to discredit you. And that's why, you see Bob Lazar with all of his history and background. You go to look at his records or whatever, and it's all been scrubbed.
Yep.
And so they will use the full force of the government to discredit anyone that steps in the way of disclosure,
Or just ridicule you,
of
like
keeping it. Yep,
yeah,
secret.
try to like, what is it? Dirty your image and just kind of discredit for everything you stand for.
And it's humiliating because, here you are in the military, you're working hard, and it's all about honor, integrity, service to the country, values, high values. And then all of a sudden you get accused of the worst thing ever, of being a liar, being a cheat, being a whatever, right? Whatever they can do to discredit you. And it hits you a lot different than it does like a normal person who isn't held to these rigorous standards.
And I think at that caliber, right? Like if you're a person in a profession where you would want your name to be like, super reputable, and then for, whoever's running these programs comes and discredits you and just completely blemishes your name to the freaking highest, level. Like as a man, that kind of really just, I mean, that would set you off, but that would kind of like, it would just be ridicule.
Right. And go find work doing something else. Have fun. Good luck.
Yeah, that's the thing too, right? Like it would really destroy your life.
You have a nice house, you have a nice car, you have a beautiful wife, you have kids. You're going to lose it all when we're done with you.
So that's kind of like how I base it off. Like, why would these people come out and say the stuff they're saying? For what reason? Yep. Like if they never saw anything, or if they did see these things, like, or they were experiencing this, whatever it was that they experienced, like, that's the thing where I kind of lead off with, like, why would they make this stuff up?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
And especially now that it's also coming out, it's like, why would people even think that this is not true? Like, at least have an open mind to think like, there is stuff that we just don't know what we're dealing with. I mean, the conversation's coming out more where it's like Lou Elizondo, one of the ones that's like a pioneer standing behind this, he's saying that he just wants the truth. He wants the people to know the truth that, like, he always related this image where it's called I think it's called like the blueberry dot, and it's a picture of Earth freely spinning in the open space. This little blueberry looking thing from afar. He's like, and you really want to ask yourself if we're the only ones in this whole entire universe.
Right. That reminds me of back in the day.
Like,
best weed I ever smoked was called Blueberry BC Bud. And I only got it one time, but man, you would smoke it and it was just all blueberry. And it was a nice high. Everything was nice and mellow.
That was back in the days where, like, if you found the person that like hooked you up with that, it's like, dude, like that's
like
the dude to go to, or whoever.
My boy Jesse Meacham, he was my guy. And, he he only got it that one time, and I always told Jesse, like, man, give me some more, man. I need some. But
someone else I knew said something about that. Like the blueberry was like the best thing for, like, it was like the best weed you've ever smoked.
You just looked at it and had those little crystals on there.
Damn.
And it was just so dank, and it was just, it went down smooth, and it when you smoked it, it was like blueberry flavored, and it was just that smooth high, like you wanted to be this high.
I've always heard about the one too they call White Widow. It was like white with like white hairs on it. Have you heard about that?
I've heard of it.
Yeah. I was just asking because, like I said, back in the days it was just like word of mouth. Like, have you heard about this?
Right.
Like, and I'm like, dude, there's so many names I don't even know, like, but it's until they showed it and you looked at it, it's like, dude, this is like crazy. Looks like someone sprinkled Coke on this one. You know what I'm saying? Like, who at that point, bro?
I remember one time we had ours. We were looking for like a 10 sack or something like that, and then
a dime.
we found we were looking for a dime bag, and then we're like 16 17, and we're cruising Maine, and we find this guy. He's like, I'll hook you up. Comes back about 30 minutes later, and it was laced with PCP.
What the?
We were tripping.
No. So you actually
we were tripping. Like when we were cruising, I'm like, all right. I knew that I was hallucinating, and I always kept cool no matter what situation I was in. So I told everybody else in the car, I'm like, hey, I don't want to scare anybody, but I said, I just need us to be really calm right now, but I'm pretty sure the shit we got was laced. And because I am seeing things right now, I'm definitely hallucinating. But can I at least tell you what I'm seeing? And they're like, yeah, tell us. And then, so I'm like, all right. So we're cruising Main Street, and you know, all those big Main Street windows. And I'm like, in every single one of these windows, I see a blue milk cow with purple spots. And I said, and I see police lights everywhere. It was like the pink and blue lights, and they were just flashing everywhere. And as soon as I said that, our driver was like, all right, we're gonna pull off of Main Street. Like, we're all hallucinating. So we went to some power station and just sobered up at a power station.
He just sat there like, dude, just go away.
There was this other time, I shouldn't even tell this story. Nah, I should hold back. But there was this dead animal on the road, right? Yeah. And me and my boy were high. And we're like, oh, there's a dead dog in the middle of the road, right? And then my boy, he's like, I have an idea.
The hell?
So he pulls up on top of the animal and starts peeling it.
Oh my God.
And it's a gravel road, right?
You spit freaking.
I mean, it's like a dead animal, right? But, so then,
R.I.P. to that dog.
I'm like, all right, let's get out and look at it at least, like throw it off on the side of the road or whatever. But we got out, and there was nothing there. There was nothing there.
Gravel.
It was just gravel. And like, dude, we both saw that, right? And so we're like looking everywhere to make sure that it really wasn't there. It was not there. It was not there.
Were you tripping?
We both saw the same thing. I'm like, all right, what kind of dog was it? And he's like, a golden retriever. I said, that's exactly what I saw, man. That's exactly what I saw.
Damn. It was probably a paranormal corpse, dude. You were probably tripping really hard, bro. Holy moly.
Yeah.
Well, nonetheless, I mean, that weed back in the days, bro. God damn. Yeah. No hurting dogs. We're animal lovers here in this podcast, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
We don't condone violence.
Oh, I never stopped loving dogs.
It's just the corpse you deal with.
When they're expired, they're expired. What are you going to do?
Dude. Oh, man. I mean, like, even like back in the days, I don't think I've ever like, the dogs that I've had, we just like bury them out in the back somewhere, It's like now nowadays where it's like, they get cremated, put them down and all that. It's just different times, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know how we got that topic.
Pet cemetery.
Oh yeah, dude. I don't know, man. That's definitely yeah. It's definitely a bad time when you lose a pet though. Overall.
Oh yeah.
You know. So.
Yeah, I know. I've lost. That's part of why I don't have a dog, because I
You're
didn't,
still hurt.
I didn't expect to be wrecked as hard as I was.
Oh man, dude.
Losing
It's it's there. I mean, they're. I understand now when they say like they become a member of your family, because they really do.
Yeah.
Like they genuinely do. And then when they're not there anymore, it's just like an open hole that just doesn't fill up anymore. You know.
Absolutely.
So it's definitely
The
I know that feeling for sure. But yeah, more of the story, ladies and gentlemen. You know, we're not alone. I don't think we're alone at all. I mean, I think it's safe to say now that the topic's out there where whatever it is when they talk about UAPs. I mean, I don't think it's like little green men, but there's definitely something out there. But what do you think? Since we're on that topic, what do you think of the theory that they're saying that this is something from another dimension, or it's something from a different timeline?
Oh yeah. So they're talking about quantum physics.
Quantum physics. Yep.
And I mean, I believe it's true. I just don't think that our human brains have captured it. Einstein has led into it, but he went as far as he could go with it. So we just need scientists, the smartest among us, to figure this out more. But I definitely believe that there's different dimensions. There's dimensions we can't see. There's because when you look at the graph, right, or the graphic of time space, or whatever it's called, it's like you can poke through it, and it's almost like, like, again, when it comes to the Bible, they talk about God says that I was, I am, and I am to come, meaning he's an entity that can see through it all. Time is of no essence to him whatsoever. Time is nothing. But for us, we live on this plane and in this dimension that certainly recognizes time. But if you can pierce, like allegedly these UAPs can, if you can pierce that dimension, then everything is open at that point. Then time travel becomes a thing. It just opens up all types of possibilities, like parallel universes, all kinds of stuff.
How there may be different versions of us living, like they say it's like staggered, right? There's like this is this timeline, but there could be other alternate versions of us.
Right, like there's a world where the three of us are in Utah, all in a marriage together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know?
Oh God. Yeah. No, but it's like it's one of those things, right? Where like, yeah, it could be like we're laughing about this topic, but like you said, our minds can't really grasp the fact that this could be a possibility. Because they even said it, like this was a theory years ago they came up with where it could possibly be true.
Yeah,
like whatever these things are flying, they could have just busted into our own timeline where they're from years ahead.
So
you know what I'm saying?
That reminds me of, in this book, one of the scientists they talk about is when they talk about stuff like quantum physics and all these types of possibilities that could be out there. One rule they have is that everything is on the table. So whatever you suggest, whatever I suggest, we treat everything valid until we can prove it wrong. So they say if one person comes up with a theory that there's a purple unicorn on a space with riding a pickle, then, you know what I mean? It's so abstract, right? That you would laugh at something like that. But with these big minds, they're looking at things and they're coming out of stuff. They really are thinking outside the box. So far outside the box that normies like us are going to scoff at a lot of what they're suggesting or talking about. Mm-hmm. And so but then again, it was Einstein's abstract thinking that got us the nuclear bomb or the atom bomb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, but also when you talk about nuclear technology, you can use nuclear technology for medicines. Nuclear technology is used for so many different medicines in the medical field. It's just that mankind, we are just at heart animals. We're monsters, really. And you have to be when you can have a mind that says, yeah, that's really helping a lot of people. But I bet we could kill a lot of people with this too, and then they go into weapons development.
Instead of helping, we'd rather kill enormous amounts of people.
Right.
Not, dude, I don't know what's in us or ingrained in our DNA to think like, who wants the bigger stick or who needs to have the biggest stick in order for us to set like the precedence of like, what we have, we're gonna make an example out of you. Mm-hmm. Like, what was that? The bomb they dropped on
Nagasaki.
Japan. Yeah.
Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Yeah, that was big boy.
That was brutal. That was like,
I saw that airplane. I was in Washington D.C. a few years back and went to a museum. And
like the actual airplane that used to drop it.
Gay. Yeah.
Holy moly! Yeah. What'd you think when you saw it? Like,
it's just, it's in a big museum, you know, so it's with all the airplanes. It's surreal. It's surreal. You're just like, man, like there were men in this airplane that just absolutely changed history. You know what I mean? And it's just crazy.
Yeah,
crazy.
Just being on that thing, just watching it drop and then just flying away and just seeing the after effects of it.
Dude, I'd be in that like, oh shit! Hey, check it out. Don't look. Keep going.
Look forward, all right?
Just drop me off in Hawaii. I'll be like DB Cooper. I'll jump out of the airplane.
Oh my god, dude! Just keep flying, bro. Don't look back.
Don't look back.
Oh my god, dude! And to think of it, like I think we haven't dropped any nuclear bombs since then, have we?
No, but in Trump's first office, he went to Afghanistan, and his message to ISIS was he was flexing, and he dropped Moab on him, mother of all bombs.
Yep.
And so that tore some caves up.
Jesus, dude. I mean, sometimes you gotta flex a little bit, Hey, gotta show you. We gotta show you we're not soft still. But here you go. Here's a little taste,
Yeah.
Damn, dude, that's crazy. But yeah, see stuff like that. Mankind created that, a weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah.
Like to think, and also, dude, like that's one thing that I think was it Alua Lazanda said. Like, if you think this is the only thing that they can show us that they're capable of doing, one thing in the back of my mind is like, what else do they possess?
Right.
Bro, I don't know. Like that to me is the stuff that makes me think. Like,
if we have time, how much time do we have?
I mean, we're close. We're close to an hour. What do you think, Brad?
I got probably 4 minutes.
5 minutes?
Yeah,
okay.
Okay. Is there anything that you wanted to bring up? We've kind of like overtaken.
No.
Yeah.
All good.
Because we want to talk about sports. We want to talk about the Super Bowl and all that too. No.
Super Bowl's boring.
Yeah. Okay. So
Fly Eagles fly.
There you go.
well, we could talk about that halftime show. The fact that we spent a whole episode going over the beef with the Kendrick.
I just think in history, we've never seen a diss song being performed like that to where it's like.
And then Serena's twerking.
Yeah. Well, she was sea walking. Yeah. But it's crazy.
I tell you what.
I never would have thought that this would be a song being performed at the Super Bowl to where they even hit that A minor line. People like screaming it. Like,
I'm telling you, okay, just from the perspective of middle-aged white America.
Yeah.
They didn't know what they were looking at. They were looking at that like, what's going on right now?
Yeah. No, I agree. It's like, a lot of people that don't know that's been following everything that's been going on.
Who likes them young?
Yeah. What is that word that they keep saying?
A minor.
Then he had the chain, the A minus chain on.
The lowercase A, the A minor, Yeah, that was wild, man. That was wild. I mean, imagine, and Drake, he was nowhere near, right? I heard that he was gone.
No, he was, I mean.
I heard he tried everything he could do until the last second to try to stop that. That's what I heard. Yeah. I heard he's suing his own record label.
What?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Something like that. Yeah, I don't know too much about the lawsuits and all that.
He can't sue him because he was doing the same thing to him.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
He's
like dropping his name in songs and all that.
For allowing it to happen, he's suing his record label.
Wait, Drake is suing
His record label, his
Kendrick, his own record
Yes,
label
yes.
for what?
for basically allowing it to happen, for not stopping it. No.
Like
What?
pretty much blemishing.
Come
on.
Dude, it's
Like an alcoholic suing the bartender
Yeah.
for
yeah, it's
That's
not like
my
that.
Giving me
understanding.
alcohol.
That's my
One of the greats, I think it was either Method Man or Redman. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, people. But if someone said it, once you get 2 lawsuits, you pretty much lost. Like it's
Yeah.
a rap battle. Like
Yeah.
why would you go to that part? But again,
But
I
he's
mean,
from Nickelodeon, dude.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
has never been.
suing Kendrick though. He's suing his own record label.
oh, I thought it was like a lawsuit in regards to just. I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't know
Can't
too
sue
much
him.
about that.
Yeah, because they were both doing the same thing. They
Yeah.
were like, you can't substantiate anything he said.
Yeah.
Well,
It makes sense though. It makes sense.
Kendrick has Drake has no proof that what he said is a lie, and Kendrick has no proof of what Drake's like, vice versa, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing, but his was better. You know what I mean? So it's like you can't do anything about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, Kendrick really needed that to save his career.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think he was always cool with just being like underground or whatever, right? But this really propelled him and made him finally established.
He was like in hiding almost for a while. He like
Yeah, he was just
5
one of those
years he
dudes
didn't
that.
release anything.
Yeah, he would just drop albums when he wanted to, like
Right.
not really like. I guess like the thing that I liked is like he would drop his album and when nobody would expect it. Like when he dropped GNX, nobody saw that coming. And then once I heard that first track, the when he did the remake to Reincarnation,
Yeah,
I was like, oh, dude, the best track on that album, dude, Reincarnation was just like. Like if I were to say bar for bar, if anybody's close to Tupac right now, I would say it's that man. Just because to me he hit that beat so hard, I was like, nobody could jump on that song and tell me like nobody could convince me that they would be like at that caliber to be worthy to be on that beat alone.
I think, yeah, lyrically for sure, he definitely, especially on the West Coast, holds it down.
Yeah.
Lyrically, it's just that I haven't seen any rapper. You know, some people can say Eminem, but even Eminem doesn't have that gutsy.
Yeah.
You know, like you hear it
Yeah.
and you feel it.
Yeah.
You believe it.
You know what's
You know what I
crazy?
mean?
Just because we're touching on music, on the way here, I was listening to Forgot About Dre and also What's the Difference Between Me and You?
Oh yeah.
Like it's Eminem in that song, the way it's structured, I don't think anybody could have pulled it off the way he pulled it off on that song.
Oh, yeah.
Just because it added that like esque of him adding his own flow, his own formula. And to think like even taking the aspect that he's a Caucasian dude, like if you were just here for what it is, phenomenal. That to me is art. Like those two songs when they came out,
He's
it
truly
hit so hard,
genius
dude.
level artist.
Yeah.
I mean scientific level artist.
I think Kendrick's amazing, but I still stand on the fact that I think it's weak that he called him a pedophile. I think unless you're coming out in like you have concrete proof, I feel like that's like the one thing that you'd never do. Like unless you know for a fact that he was like diddying him, you know, like
Right.
like that is like you could ruin someone's life saying something.
Well, I think he did.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. And like, but there was never any proof. Like, I would rather have Drake like go to jail and like on for him to like come out and say something like that. Like maybe there's some charges or like something, but there's like nothing, you know.
I think there's a lot of alluding. I think what nowadays with the internet, there's a lot of alluding to where like they found a bunch of clips where he was like dancing on some super young girl at a concert.
Right.
And I think that alluding was like kind of like they can base it off that where it would fit that narrative,
It's
right?
dangerous, man, because like I know Akon got himself in some hot water.
Oh, yeah,
back
with
in his
that-
home country, right?
Yeah. That was like with the girl, right? He was like, yeah.
And
I
then he
remember
wrote
that.
the
Yeah.
apology song,
Yeah.
and I think it was, and you know what I mean. So it's like, you don't. It's so easy to hold these artists
didn't know
accountable.
that about
but
Akon.
you know when you've got all this stuff, that's a real threat. That is a real threat.
Okay, now it makes me wonder about that one song where he's like, nobody wants to see us together. But it don't matter.
Yeah,
no.
see, stuff like that.
You're, like,
Right.
you kind of look at you're like,
Yeah, it gives you a different perspective. I know there's a whole lot of
like a
Diddy songs.
15-year-old girl that he's dating.
There's a whole lot of
Lord.
Diddy songs that don't sound right
Oh,
to me
no,
anymore. I'm like,
no.
whoa, what is
Yeah.
he? Wait, he was telling us the whole time.
Dude, yeah, even that I'm still curious to see what's going to happen
Even
of
looks
that.
sketchy.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked kind of weird, right?
Yeah, dude, it's a lot of stuff that we definitely are like even the Epstein list is soon to be released. Supposedly here soon, they're going to release a lot of names. There's a lot of stuff on the burner waiting for it to be just exposed. You know, we're just waiting.
We just don't have the time to talk about it.
We don't have the time. I wish there was, like I say, I wish there was so many hours in a day, right, where we could do a lot of things we want to do.
Well, this is going to be probably our second to last episode in this house.
In this, actually, we don't want to just
in this set.
We're changing sets here.
The next one's going to be great.
We're upgrade, baby.
We're upgrading. As you can tell, you know, we've come a long way. We're definitely upgrading, but you know, you'll see us here very soon. You know what I'm saying? We'll do a reveal, I guess, when that happens. But I mean, nonetheless, you know, we're definitely on a little time crunch. And anything else you guys want to touch on before we wrap this one up?
I'm good.
You want to wrap it up? Okay, all right.
Actually, I learned a lot of things I've been hearing about. To be honest, I haven't been around you guys.
We've all been in isolation. Everybody's been sick.
Oh yeah, I know it sucks being sick, but definitely stay up on your vitamin C. People, stay healthy out there. There's definitely something not only going around. So just definitely
get on that nicotine, baby.
Get on the
break
nicotine.
Those nanoparticles.
Nyquil, Dayquil, all that stuff. But definitely
Happy
emergency.
Valentine's Day, ladies.
And there you go. Hopefully you have everybody had a phenomenal Valentine's Day, you know, day of love for sure. But we're going to wrap this one up. Definitely check us out on Instagram, Beyond Suspicion Podcast. You'll find all the latest and greatest in regards to the pod there. And we're available on all mainstream platforms as well.
Yes, sir.
YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it. We are everywhere. But we'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Till then, have a good one, all right? Take care. Love you. Peace.